Welcome to this week's edition of Mainly Facts. Prepare to embark on a trip via engaging anecdotes, mind-blowing facts, and strangers' hidden secrets. Let's get started.
Story 1. My family wants me to give up my wedding venue for my pregnant sister. My fiancé and I have been together for 8 years and engaged for 3. I was doing my PhD program and was juggling planning the wedding. My fiancé took much of that work, but it was perfect because our dream venue was booked till after my graduation. So what we did is book our dream venue 3 years in advance. It is really a beautiful venue. The only slot we got was September of this year. My sister got engaged a few months ago. They were planning on having a spring wedding next year. They had no venue lined up, but had a few vendors lined up as well as a set date. Yesterday, our parents invited us and our significant others to a family barbecue where my sister announced to our extended family that she is expecting. Everyone was so happy for her and my brother-in-law, who is a great guy. My nan asked my sister if the wedding was still on the set date or if they were going to wait because of the baby. She said that she hoped to move it to September. NBD. We don't have many out-of-town guests, so they could attend both weddings, no problem. Nan was happy and asked sister if she needed help planning such a short-notice wedding. My sister then turns around and said, "That's what I wanted to talk to you about. I was really hoping we could take your venue. I really cannot stress myself out too much with planning a wedding while going to maternity classes, and I think it's so beautiful. It would really mean a lot to me." It went silent, but everyone was looking at me expecting me to say, "Yes, of course, everything for my little sister." My brother-in-law looked very uncomfortable and told her that they had to talk about this and that it was not okay to put me on the spot. But my sister just said, "Don't be like that. My sister wants to do what's best for me, so it's no big deal, right?" I just said, "Well, it kind of is. I don't know. I have my heart really set on the venue." Cue the crying. She stormed off. Nan told me that I was being selfish because she needed the venue more than I did. I tried to defend myself and my mother said, "You waited 3 years. Would it have killed you to wait a few more months? When has your sister ever asked you for something?" A few comments later, my fiancé got really mad and we left. My sister called me crying and said that it was unfair that I always get what I want and that I could have done this one thing for her. Dad said it is just a venue and what matters is the person who you are marrying. He's kind of right, but we've been planning for so long. My fiancé is furious with my family and doesn't even want my sister to come. Now my family is threatening not to come because I'm being selfish and my sister needs it more than me because having a baby is too stressful. My brother-in-law called me and apologized for the inconvenience. He told me he had discussed it with my sister and she told him she would not ask. He's properly mad with her now and warned me that my sister is blaming me for potentially ruining her marriage. My father's sent me about 5 texts along the lines of, "I hope you're happy your sister hasn't stopped crying since yesterday," and so on and so on. My fiancé and I have decided to boot my sister from the bridal party and replace her with my aunt, who is the only family member that took my side. We have not decided whether or not we will invite my family as a whole. Furthermore, my mom took it upon herself to tell us. She called her fiancé's parents and told them that it would be best if my sister gets it because she is pregnant and preeclampsia runs in the family, whatever that means. My future father-in-law told them to F off and basically ripped my mom a new one for expecting something so ridiculous and that they were going to lose me if they kept playing favorites. So my mom is now crying too and saying that my father-in-law is a butt. This is just getting so pathetic. It seems straight out of a bad soap opera. My in-laws are driving to us currently with some supper and wine and basically told me not to worry and though no matter what happens that they will be my safety net. I cried of happiness. So it hasn't been that long, but this post blew the hell up. I was expecting only a few answers, but the support was overwhelming. What boggled my mind is that this story flooded over to mainstream media, but let's get to the story. So this went viral. A lot happened. Since this went viral, a lot happened. My sister saw this story while browsing on her Reddit account. She lost her mind. She accused me of painting her like a loony and misrepresenting facts. Info. My sister got wind of the situation due to various media outlets and went on Reddit. She said that I was being unfair, that she is family, and that she asked nicely because she loves me. She also underlines the fact that the opinion of internet strangers doesn't count because family is more important, and I should focus on making my family happy. The only text I sent back was this: "I'm sorry that you perceived it that way. I did not in any way distort what happened. As you might notice, I didn't describe your tone nor exaggerated anything. Perhaps you have that night differently differently in your mind than I do, but I digress. I'm sick and tired of bending to your will. My whole life, I have been your servant and your doormat. Remember all the birthdays I had to share with you because you would throw a tantrum because you didn't get presents, or when you cried so that I would fill out job applications for you? But the thing that has hurt me most till now is when you ruined my graduation. I am done. I admit that I also spoiled you, but I will not any longer. If you want to marry your badly before your baby is born, then you could look at Hotel X that offers last-minute weddings. I've spent too much time planning my wedding to give it to you, and if you want to ruin our relationship over this, then go ahead. I will sleep sound and safe knowing that it wasn't my fault. She only sent me a wow, you must love me so much, and blocked me. She unblocked me this morning to send me this. Wedding planner. Hello dear, I got the message from your mother and will proceed with the rebooking of the venue on the spot. However, this will have extra costs as we have to change the names on the contract. Please come by my office tomorrow so we can sign the new contract. Sister, that's great. I'll be there at 9. My parents haven't actually written to me since the thing with my father-in-law. My older brother, yes, I have an older brother, but he lives in another city and wasn't at the barbecue. That's why I didn't mention him. Plus, he initially could not come to the wedding because of work and changed his plans after hearing about all the story. Contact me and wanted to know what happened because he got a weird story from mom and dad. Mom had told him that I had offered to give up the venue to my sister and that I humiliated her. I told him what really happened, and he had no problem believing me. We talked a lot about our parents' behavior, and he confessed that him moving was partly due to our parents being, and I quote, crapheads to us. He told me that mom had gotten wind from the post and was mad at me for betraying my family. I haven't written my parents what so many of you advised me to because I have to come to terms with the fact that they love my sister more than me, if they love me at all. The wedding. We sat together and put passwords with the majority of our vendors and also with the venue directly. We haven't talked to our planner yet, which is why my sister worries me so much. Also, we canceled the catering that my parents paid for, so in the short term we won't be able to get a full catering like we wanted to, but all our friends and my fiance's family will help us prepare a buffet, and everyone is going to chip in. That will be our bachelor party. As we will have to spend more on our food now, we canceled our bachelor parties and will have a family and friends cooking session. Thank you again for helping me see how toxic my family is. I'll try to sort it out. If they apologize from the bottom of their heart, they will be allowed into my wedding, but if not, well then, I still have my brother, who will be walking me down the aisle, and my aunt. We called my planner, and she was actually really horrified. She told me that she had never talked to my mother since the day we went to book the venue. She assured me that even if they were to call and say that I wanted it, I had to be present to make any changes. So we informed everyone that will work for us on our wedding, and they offered to hire security for that day at a reduced price. So first off, obviously, the person posting this is absolutely in the right. And yeah, that sister is being absurd. Absolutely and completely absurd. Like, I get maybe wanting to ask. There's no harm in asking privately, not putting someone on the spot, if they could do that for you, and then respecting their answer no matter which way they would go. And obviously, I don't think it's at all wrong for you to want to keep the venue that you've waited 3 years for, that you had to book well in advance. And the dad saying, well, it doesn't matter where you get married, just the person that you're with, so why can't you give it to your sister? Well, then why does it matter where she gets married, Dad? Why doesn't the pregnant sister just get married wherever? It doesn't matter where she gets married. You don't have to blah, blah, blah. Oh my God, these people, these entitled, completely disconnected from reality people just drive me up a wall. Oh my God. Like, yeah, I don't blame you for not wanting your family at the wedding, because if your sister is going to kind of ruin your graduation by putting you on the spot and throwing a fit, who knows what the hell she would have done at your wedding. So I hope she wasn't invited. Even if they apologized at that point, I don't think I'd trust them. Story 1. Am I the a-hole for making a joke when my friend told me she was pregnant? My friend Alice, fake name, 32 female, and her husband have been trying for a baby for about 3 years. I, 29 female, am child-free, but this has never caused a problem in my relationship with Alice. We would often joke about this difference, with me telling her stuff like she'll miss all the disposable income when she has kids, and her comparing my dog to a human kid. Neither of us got offended with this joke, and it was all in good fun. On Friday, Alice, a couple other other friends and I went to lunch, and Alice told us that she was 3 months pregnant. I jokingly said, "I'm so sorry, let me know if you need a ride to the clinic." Alice flipped out and called me an insensitive bee. I told her that I was joking, but she wouldn't hear it, and she ended up leaving. She hasn't responded to my texts and calls ever since. Our other friends are staying out of it and don't want to give their opinions. I understand that my joke comment would come off as rude if I said it to a stranger, but Alice knows me, and this is how we joke with each other. Am I the a-hole? Oh, I mean, maybe, kind of. Yeah, that's, I get that you have a joking relationship and you've, made certain jokes before, like, comparing pets and kids and you telling her she'll miss the disposable income. But for her to actually share the news after 3 years, like, I am finally pregnant, and your first response to be, "Oh boy, let me know if you want to get it aborted," essentially is wild. Like, this is an actual, like, super exciting moment for her or something like that. Like, it wouldn't be like, she's like, I keep trying, and I'm hoping one day I'll get pregnant, and like maybe insert the joke there. But at this moment where she finally has this, where after 3 years, her dream is coming true, and you go for the joke then, even if you have that rapport, I think that's a moment where you celebrate with her, even if you don't like kids. I don't want kids. I have no desire to, but I would certainly not try and take away from someone's big moment like that. So yeah, I don't know. There is a time and a place for jokes, especially ones that, are essentially like, "Oh, you finally got your wish. Let me know if you want to cancel it," or so. Like, I think it might have been a bit far. I still think that she should maybe talk to you and not like completely cut you out or anything, but oof. Yeah, no, not the time for that joke, I don't think. Story 2. My boyfriend won't stop telling me that I smell bad. I've been with my boyfriend for over a year, and everything has been great except for one thing. Every single day, at least once, he will tell me that I stink and smell of BO, body odor. When we met, I showered every day, applied regular deodorant in the morning, brushed my teeth 3 times a day. Now I'm so paranoid about smelling bad that I shower at least twice a day. I apply new industrial strength deodorant every few hours. I have a reminder on my phone, perfume, and I brush my teeth anytime I eat or drink something that isn't water. I feel like I'm going crazy. I didn't think I smelled bad in the beginning, and I don't think I smell bad now, but I obviously smell bad to him, right? I'm that weirdo that keeps sneakily smelling their own armpits. I've been to the doctor, and he said there's nothing medically wrong. It has honestly gotten to the point where I literally shove my armpit in my friends and family's facing, ask if I smell bad, and they all say I don't smell like BO at all. One friend even said I smelled too clean, like a Lush store. I'm getting so paranoid. He won't cuddle or anything when he says I smell. I really don't know what more I can do. Update. I waited for him to make a comment this morning so I could talk to him. It was less than an hour after waking up and he said, "God, you stink." I had already showered and put on deodorant. I snapped and asked what exactly was he smelling, because at this point, I'm one of the cleanest people on the planet, and if I still smell bad to him, then we should just break up. He got all panicked and upset. I eventually got out of him that this is what his father always said to his mother. Apparently, his father told him that it was a surefire technique to have a woman never leave you because she will feel too low to cheat, will only love you, and will always be clean. Needless to say, his father is wrong. He's packing his things and moving out of my house today. Okay, good. We have an answer, because this is what I was going to say that he was doing. Like, I was going to say, this sounds like a person trying to make you feel like worse about yourself so that you'll never leave him. And turns out that's exactly what this a-hole was doing. And I don't care if it's the way he was raised and his father taught him this, so he's just like, this is just what someone does in a relationship, right? Like, no, you can just tell, like, oh, you make them feel too low to cheat on you and they'll only love you. No. Anyone can piece together, oh, this is a bad thing to do. This is a scuzzy way to keep someone from ever leaving you. What a gross person. I would be absolutely livid if someone did something like this to me. You don't do anything like this. That just, holy crap. This, like, I hope this guy has learned a lesson because he's lost someone in their life who went way beyond what they should have to try and please him. And I feel so bad for the damage done to her self-esteem over the course of a year. Oh my gosh. Folks, if someone is like doing stuff like this to you and you don't understand it, be aware that they might be a sleazebag and, confront them about it. Because even if by some chance she did kind of smell, then there should be a discussion like, why is it? What can I do different? I'm like cleaning way more. Just, whoa. Story 3. Entitled Mother Flips After She Reads the Post About Her Daughter and Her. Hello again. I posted a story about my aunt ruining my sister's birthday the day before yesterday. Turns out she or her daughter is on Reddit and are subscribed to /entitled parents and read the story. This is what happened last night. Entitled Mom, who's my aunt. Entitled Child, her daughter. S, my sister. Entitled Mom called my dad last night at about 11 when my dad was half asleep. Entitled Mom, how could you do this to us? Aren't we family? Why did you shame us like this? It was so many years ago. Couldn't you just let it go? And my dad has no idea what she's going on about, so he asks her what has happened. To which she tells him that we posted on Reddit about my sister's birthday. My dad doesn't know and doesn't care what Reddit is and asks, what's the big deal? Entitled Mom, wow, so your daughters do things without telling you? You should keep an eye on them. Don't let them get out of hand. You should have taught them manners. My name just exposed us and shamed us online. Dad, what are you saying? How did she expose you? She hasn't even talked to you in years. Entitled Mom, she posted a story about us, and as soon as Entitled Child read it, we knew it was about us. I haven't divulged any names in that story, not even mine. Dad asks me if I did that and why. So it took a total of 15 to 20 minutes to explain to Dad what Reddit is and what I did. I tell him that I've just narrated a story and haven't exposed her identity in any way. So Dad just hands me the phone so I can explain it to her. As soon as I say hello, Entitled Mom starts screaming at me so loudly that it can be heard outside the phone. Entitled Mom, you B, how could you do that? Who do you think you are? You poison my child and then make it up as if I was overreacting? Take that post down now and apologize for it on that subreddit. If you don't, I know I'm gonna sue you. What the F? I'm so angry that I just say no, I won't do anything of that sort, and that I would like to see how you can sue me all the way from California. Entitled Mom then proceeds to call me and my sister a W and similar things. My dad takes away a phone and asks her to not ever contact any of us again and blocks her. So, hey there, Aunt Sheila. Hope you all read this. Notice how at no point was Aunt Sheila's argument something along the lines of like, we've never acted like that, and what a bunch of made up stuff, and it just makes us look bad, and da-da-da. No, it seems to be that she recognizes that the story that was posted is true, and so she's mad that there is a story that doesn't identify them whatsoever, complaining about something that they did. It's like, basically, she's like calling them up to be like, how dare your daughter post about what a-holes we are. She's telling the world that there are a-holes in it and nobody could possibly know that it's us, but we know and we're mad. Like, just don't admit. If your kids saw it, it's like, no, I'm not going to admit that this is us. I don't have to admit anything. You don't have to admit it. Story 1. Am I the a-hole for walking out in the middle of Christmas dinner and shouting because of my husband's observation? So, ever since I had my son months ago, my husband has started making indirect comments about my body. He never says any hurtful words, but I find his observations, as he calls it, hurtful. For example, he'd see me wearing an old top and say, oh, that top used to look good on you, but not anymore, though. Or when he looks at my waist and says, wow, didn't know your waist could get this wide. Basically, passive stuff that I tried to ignore till it extended to friends and family. FYI, this went on for months and months and months. We went to a Christmas celebration at his family's home. My sister-in-law complimented my floral maxi dress, and my husband said, I agree it looks nice on you, though I have to admit that your waist could get smaller than this. Awkward silence took over. I was absolutely fuming, and this was my last straw. So I got up from my chair in the middle of dinner and shouted at the top of my lungs, "Shut the F up about my body." He was absolutely speechless as his family stared while some others tried to get me to calm down, but situation got more tense and dinner ended up being cut short, and my husband storming off to his friend's place to spend the night upon leaving a very nasty text saying I embarrassed him and made a scene over an observation he made. He called me childish and told me to get therapy for my insecurities instead of verbally abusing him and scarring his family. Now I feel like an absolute idiot a-hole and like I ruined Christmas for him and everybody with my oversensitivity. Am I the a-hole? Your husband deserves to get punched in the mouth. I don't know if I have to say more. I mean, obviously I'm joking and exaggerating, but your husband's an a-hole. Your husband's a piece of crap. I'm sorry to constantly bring up observations about your body after you've had a child and everything. Even if you hadn't had a child, if you had not had a child, but you were just aging and changing and you gained a little bit of weight, he would be completely out of line doing that. I mean, oh my God. He deserves like a sitcom-esque response to that, where like a 90s sitcom where if he goes, "Oh, you could stand to be smaller," you should just look at him and be like, "Well, you could stand to be bigger, but you don't hear me complaining." Like, seriously, what a prick. What a piece of garbage. I'm sorry. I hate this guy. The fact that he commented about your body, clearly other people were like, "Oh my God." And then you responded how you should have. And that he went over to his friends to be like, me, you hurt my feelings because you called me out for being a piece of crap. I hate him. I hope he gets punched in the wiener every day for the rest of his life. What a dink. Story 2. Where did you learn to speak English? England? This story took place 5 months ago, so it won't be exactly word for word, but I've remembered enough of the event to recite it, blah blah blah, you've all heard it before. So my stepmom is British, Welsh to be exact. For those who don't know, Wales is the little hump west of England and north of Cornwall. It's a beautiful place known for sheep, alcohol, and mistakes involving sheep and alcohol. My stepmom is ethnically Welsh, but raised in England. Despite this, my Nain and Tade, Welsh for grandma and grandpa, insisted on her and her brother learning Welsh to preserve their heritage. The Welsh are a proud people, and so they wanted to ensure their children were as immersed as they could be. So she grew up bilingual, went to uni, got a job working for a certain tech giant, and moved to the US to help train their staff. A few years later, she met my dad and joined the family. At the time, I was still getting over my mom, so her presence was less than welcome. Despite this, my stepmom never pushed me or tried to buy her way in. She gave me the room I needed to grieve, and when I was ready, showered me with enough affection to make up for the lost time. She has my eternal love and respect for it and has become my second mother. Now, we live in a large town in the Midwest, being west of the seaboard but east of the Mississippi, so while most people are open to outsiders, there's the usual few who just want to ruin everything. Around Christmas time, I was visiting home from college with my girlfriend, Charlie, whose awesomeness has been detailed in another post, enjoying some quality girls' time with my stepmom. We were in the mall searching for some place that sold plastic modeling glue for my dad. He's really into Warhammer. During this, my stepmom is on the phone with her brother, who still lives in the UK, catching up and sharing some laughs. They were speaking Welsh to each other, which happened to offend a woman who has since earned the title of Karen. We were standing in front of the mall map trying to find the hobby store when I heard a loud scoff from behind us. I turned to see a woman dressed in a rather nice-looking business suit corralling her kids away like they just encountered a streaker. Now, I was ready to let it go, but Charlie can get very defensive of people she likes, so she ended up calling her out. "Something offends you, ma'am?" She seemed to ponder her next move before responding with that oh-so-stupid phrase, "You're in America. When you're here, you speak English, not Muslim. My kids don't need to hear that." Now, I've met some pretty stupid people in my life, even dated one, but never ever have I heard of someone confusing Welsh for Arabic, which is what I assumed she meant. They're two very different languages from two very different cultures, cultures. The only similarity between them is how little I understand them. However, for someone to be so offended by someone speaking another language, they probably also didn't immerse themselves too much in other cultures. To her, the world probably began in New York and ended in Los Angeles. It was at this point that my stepmom hung up. Now, I know that Americans get a bad rap and all, she said in an obvious British accent, but it doesn't help when you actively conform to the stereotype. "Oh my God," Karen said with righteous indignation. "Your accent is awful. Where did you even learn to speak English?" My stepmom held the most deadpan expression she could. "England." I swear I could smell the smoke coming from the flaming mess inside Karen's skull. She looked at Charlie and I, a pair of shockingly Caucasian college brats, and then my stepmom, our even paler chaperone, took a moment to process what she was doing, and then walked away, dragging a group of embarrassed-looking tweens with her. I have to give her credit, at least she knew when to quit. My stepmom chuckled, muttered an offensive-sounding Welsh phrase, and then helped us scan the map for the hobby shop. The rest of the day went well, and we had a funny story to tell my dad when we got back. To all my bigots out there who get offended when someone speaks another language, get over yourselves. The world doesn't revolve around you. To all my bilingual friends out there who speak their native tongues, good for you. It's important to keep your culture alive. And to Karen, next time you try to accost someone for speaking something other than English, at least get the right continent. What makes this worse is that she was clearly talking to someone on the phone in Welsh. It's a phone. It could connect anywhere in the world. She could have been talking to someone in a country that doesn't predominantly speak English, and therefore might have to speak a different, how do you see someone speaking a different language on a phone and be like, "How dare you? This is America, you gotta speak English." A, America doesn't have a national language. I'm almost positive of that. Yes, English is certainly the most predominantly spoken language here, but I don't think that we have on record an official language, so you people need to stop. And B, it's not like she's coming up to you in a store, Karen, and, trying to ask for help and not speaking English. She just came here expecting people to speak Welsh or Arabic, I guess. She's not confronting you with it. She's not forcing it upon you in any way. Mind your own business, Karen. Oh my gosh. Some people. Story 1. I was gifted laser tattoo removal by her mother-in-law. My husband, 43 male, and I, 31 female, have been married for 3 years, together for 6. Obviously, there's an age gap between my husband and I, which has never been an issue for us. My mother-in-law, however, has always greatly disapproved and likes to talk to me like I'm a rebellious teenager instead of her son's life partner. A big issue for her is the fact that I have tattoos. I love all my tattoos. They are well done and a huge part of my identity. I can't imagine myself without them, and my husband loves how they look on me. Mother-in-law made a few comments while we were dating, but my husband told her privately to drop it. 3 years ago, my husband and I hosted our families for my birthday dinner. It was our first big get-together after getting married, and everyone was nice enough to bring me a gift. I was going to open them, and everyone left, but mother-in-law handed me an envelope at the dinner table and insisted I open it immediately. Inside was a card and a gift certificate to a local tattoo removal business for $500. I was confused and asked her what this was for. She said that since I was a married woman now and planning to have kids, she assumed I would want my tattoos removed. Both my husband and I were kind of taken aback and stunned. I half-heartedly thanked her, and the party continued. Later, my husband called her and told her off. He insisted she take it back and get her money back. She absolutely refused and insisted I would want it someday. 3 years later, her $500 is sitting in my kitchen junk drawer, and I've added 3 more tattoos to the collection. Haha. Update. Thank you so much for all the great suggestions on what to do with the gift certificate. I actually have a friend who is the director of a restorative justice organization. I asked her if she had any clients with hate symbols they would like removed, and it turns out she works with a guy who has a swastika on his arm that he hides every day because he's so ashamed. This is particularly significant and powerful for me because I'm Jewish. Anyway, I am dropping it off today, and I'm really pleased that something that started as a disrespectful slight from my mother-in-law turned into this. Thank you. Man, what a kind of crummy story that ended up having pretty positive message there at the end. Like, A, that mother-in-law really needs to get over herself. Like, I'm sure she's 60s, maybe even 70s at this point, and a little old-fashioned. And it's fine if you don't like tattoos. You don't have to. I like tattoos. I've got a tattoo, gosh darn it. And I want more. But to try and push your beliefs on someone like that and not respect what they're telling you is just kind of gross. So, I mean, don't do that. Even if it's not your thing, if it's not hurting anyone, just chill out. But hey, at least the daughter-in-law here was able to put it to some really positive use in the world. So good on you. Story 2. Want to block my driveway, officer? It's gonna be another minute or two of coffee. About a decade ago, I worked an early morning shift at a fast food restaurant. We opened up at 6 a.m., so I had to be at work at 5 a.m. I would leave my house at about 4:45 a.m. every morning. My management was pretty relaxed about the opening shift. Clocking in up to 10 minutes late wasn't really an ordeal as long as you showed up ready to go. I came outside at 4:45 to find that a local police officer has pulled someone over and is now blocking my driveway. This has happened before, but normally in the afternoon, and normally I just ask the officer to move forward or back a couple of feet, and then I pull in or out of the driveway. No sweat. This officer, however, angrily informs me that I will have to wait till he's done. I snap a picture of his car, text it to my manager, and explain my tardiness. 40 minutes later, the police officer finally moves. I scramble into the car and head to work. I get there 15 minutes before we open. I frantically start to brew tea, fetch ice, having to condense my 50-minute routine into 15. I almost forgot to brew coffee. Opening time rolls around and the first group of customers come in. It's a group of our local police officers led by the captain. I guess they're about to do a shift change. One of the officers in the group is the one who blocked my driveway. Anyway, the captain orders coffee and I regretfully inform him that there's a 5-minute wait for coffee because I got to work extremely late. Captain asks why, so I pull out my phone and explain that one of his officers blocked my driveway for 45 minutes for a routine traffic stop. Captain proceeds to chew out that officer in front of all of his colleagues and exclaims that nothing short of a life or death emergency should block my driveway if it will interfere with him getting his morning coffee. It was never blocked again, and the captain always got his coffee at 6 a.m. without interruption. Good on that captain for taking your side on that, because very much clearly you are being wronged here. If an officer taking 40 minutes for just a traffic stop at your place and he can't afford to get in his car and move it here or there are plenty of times where the cops go back in their car to run licenses and insurance and stuff like that. He could have taken that moment to move the car for you and been a decent human being, but instead, no. I am a mighty officer of the law, and you shall not interfere with me doing my divine duty. Well, now you just got made a fool of by someone who just wanted to get to work on time. Man. Some police officers aren't great. Story 1. Am I the a-hole for suing my girlfriend after she had my 1967 Impala project taken to the scrapyard? I'll try to keep this short. I had a 1967 Impala 4-door that I bought in February 2019. A couple months ago, I bought my first house that had a 2.5-car garage. I moved the car in and started tearing it down for a complete restoration. I had the body in one bay and the chassis in another, plus the whole garage filled with parts. About 2 months ago, my girlfriend came to live with me during this whole crisis, and the whole time has hated that car. She wants to park in the garage, but I have 2 acres of land with a lot of nice places to park under shady trees, or hell, even in the barn, but it has to be inside. I tell her, tough luck, it's my house, and it's not like I can just throw it back together real quick. Anyways, I was out of town for a couple of days on a business trip for the small local company I work for. When I got back, my girlfriend was all smiles, making me food all the time, doing all the chores, all that. I thought maybe she was just happy to have me home, but then I realized I didn't see her car in its usual spot. I asked her where she parked so I could make sure I mow that area and keep it clean, and she said not to worry because she parked in the garage. I asked how, and she told me to go check it out. Turns out that while I was gone, she hired some people to come over and move everything related to that car, including the drivetrain, body, and chassis and all parts, and take it to the local dump/scrapyard. I was absolutely dumbfounded. I had spent over $11,000 on that car, including new parts, services, and the car itself. I told her that I was going to be taking her to court for that, and she brushed me off like I was being dramatic. I told her that it's done between us and to pack her things and leave. I admit I was really angry, but I did end up getting a lawyer, and as I have all the receipts for all the money spent and have her on my house's security cam footage letting the guys in and watching them take it all, I think I can win. Her family and friends are absolutely blowing me up, saying it's just a stupid old piece of junk and that she cannot pay back all that money I spent and that I should just let it go. But I've been putting all my time, effort, and money into that car for a year and a half now, and god damn it if I'm not going to get justice for what she did. Am I the a-hole? I genuinely thought that this story was going to go in a whole different direction because I'm not a car person. I don't care about cars and car restoration stuff, and I have people in my life, family members that I love who are car restoration people that I think are great, and I've met some car restoration people who take that stuff way too seriously, and I thought that's where this was gonna go. This was not that. This is ridiculous. Like, she didn't even just sit down and have a discussion. She couldn't even get to a point like, is there any way that we can at least free up one of the bays and move some stuff into the barn or something like that, or some way to make things work because she really wanted to park inside. No, she just waited till you were gone and had it all hauled to the scrapyard. Like, clearly it's stuff of value that you're working on, so she didn't even try to sell it or just have it all moved to the barn, and then when he gets back be like, you're gonna work in the barn now, which still would be an a-hole move on her part, and you would still be justified in being like, why would you do this behind my back? That's super scummy. I think that this person maybe should have tried to work with her to get her a stall in the garage or something, maybe, but even then, I don't know, it's your place. She's just staying with you at the beginning of some event. I can't imagine what they were talking about. But yeah, no, she took things way too far, and I think you have a right to get compensated for all the stuff that she lost for you. So yeah, you're definitely not an a-hole. Story 2. 6 years ago, I switched my wife's cat with a more well-behaved look-alike. 6 years ago, I swapped my then-girlfriend, now-wife's cat with a more well-behaved look-alike. She had an all-black cat that was extremely aggressive. It scratched everyone, hissed at everyone, and didn't use its litter box half the time. My wife insisted she could get it to behave better. One week, she went out of town to visit her family, and I was supposed to go to her apartment and feed it. The first night I went over, it scratched the crap out of my arm. I joked to the cat that it's not special and I'll replace it if it scratches again. The joke stuck with me until I had a thought about it enough that it wasn't a joke. The next morning I went to the local animal shelter, found an identical cat who was already litter box trained and acclimated to people but was a little skittish. Its owner died of a heart attack, and the animal shelter people said they think that's why it was skittish. But overall it was a lot friendlier and better behaved, and the skittishness would help it resemble the original cat. So I adopted it, took it to my wife's apartment, settled it in, then drove her original cat to an animal shelter a town over. I was paranoid my wife would find out if I took it to a local one. It's been 6 years since then. We got married 4 years ago. We still have the swapped cat. It answers to the original cat's name. My wife knows nothing. She loves this cat and brags about how much better behaved it is. Every time I see it, I feel like a total piece of crap. Edit. For the people saying that the other cat was likely euthanized by the shelter, I just double-checked, and the shelter I dropped it off at was and still is a no-kill shelter. What a great basis for a relationship, What a solid foundation to have, this beautiful foundation of a lie, just a lie that you've held on to for years and years. I mean, you couldn't have just spent the money that you spent adopting a cat at the shelter to, hire a trainer to help you out with the cat that she loved? I know a trainer's going to be more in the long run, and it might take some more effort, but, I suppose who wants to put in effort for the person that they love when instead you can just lie to them and take away their cat? If I found out someone did this to me, if I was, your spouse, and I found out that you did something like this to me, I would break up with you because what a scuzzy thing to do. I would feel so betrayed and lied to. I'm also very, very attached and big on pets and stuff. So, and I mean, the fact that you had to look it up, that you didn't know it was a no-kill shelter, so you may have been condemning this cat too. Like, you should have worked with her on training. You should have, found ways to do this. There are ways to help out pets. Get Jackson Galaxy in here. Oh my gosh. Yeah, no. I know you didn't ask it. This isn't an Am I the A-hole question, but guess what you are? Story 1. Am I the a-hole for calling my sister's husband useless? My 17 female sister, 34 female, called me saying that her work had an emergency and she needed to get there ASAP and needed me to watch her kids because no one else can. I rushed over there just to find her husband locked in his game room playing video games. I asked her why she called me over if he was home, and she said he didn't want to babysit because it was his only day off. Sister left, and I started hanging out with the kids. I was changing the baby's diaper, and the other kids wanted a snack. I told them to go ask their dad to make them a snack since the baby had a blowout and it was going to take me a while to clean him up. Well, their dad sent them back upstairs and told them to ask me again. After cleaning the baby up, I made the kids a snack, and their dad came out to eat and told me not to let the kids interrupt him on his day off. By the way, he works part-time from home 6 days a week. I kind of snapped at him and told him it was my day off too and that he was a useless effing father and husband if his wife has to rely on her teenage sister rather than her own husband. He started telling me I was disrespectful and didn't understand how hard parenting is, and I told him he clearly doesn't understand how hard it is either since he considers parenting his own children babysitting. He ended up kicking me out, and apparently my sister was forced to come home because he told her she needed to figure it out since I'm her sister. I feel like I may be an a-hole because my sister is mad at me, her husband is mad at me, my mom is mad at me for causing drama, but my dad thinks it's funny and agrees with me. I definitely didn't need to call him names, but I just hate this guy so much. We've argued about things in the past as well, so we already don't have a great relationship. My sister is saying I need to apologize to him, and he is threatening to never let me into the kids' lives if I keep disrespecting him. Edit. Wow, I was not expecting this response at all. Thank you guys for all your comments, and to the people who messaged me D-pics or to kill myself. What? Why? LOL, y'all are crazy. For anyone who has asked, no, he does not take care of the kids normally. My sister takes them to daycare during the day and then picks them up on her way home. She is the breadwinner and the primary caretaker. Also, I got a few questions of, does she pay you? Not exactly, but she will randomly take me on expensive shopping sprees and will regularly buy things from my Amazon wish list instead, and I have no problem with this arrangement. I really love those kids and don't have an issue babysitting them. I love hanging out with them. I also don't blame my mother for being mad at me just because of the fact that my sister's dumb butt husband texted her and apparently told her a much different version of what happened, LOL. He told her I was sitting on my phone the whole time being lazy and the kids kept begging me for a snack. Also, I did not yell at him in front of his kids. It was a private conversation. I might post an update, but nothing has really happened in the past day, so I don't really have much to say. No one has apologized to anyone yet. Well, I mean, first off, you're definitely not the a-hole, and that husband/father certainly is, because good grief. Yes, fathers out there, and people who are seeing fathers taking care of their kids, fathers don't babysit, they take care of their kids, because they're their kids, and that's part of what being a father is. And it's my day off from your part-time 6 days a week at-home job, your one day off. You can't watch the kids. You can't watch the kids and maybe get a little gaming in or something. Or just, oh my gosh. I mean, the kids aren't even old enough to babysit themselves. You haven't been fathering for long enough for you to feel so dragged down or whatever that you couldn't spare one day this 1 week. It's not like you're getting asked every week to totally give up your one day off, you lazy piece of garbage. I don't even need more context. This person just sound frustrating. And for her to be like, oh, well, go ask your dad. Like, if maybe He just needed some help because the number of kids or whatever. Okay, maybe understandable, but the fact that he's like, no, I'm playing my video games in the basement. Don't you dare let those kids bother me. Like, what? That's not an adult. That's like a petulant teenager. Oh, that dad sucks. Story 2. Entitled Mom joins our Skype call after we kill her son repeatedly in Minecraft. I was playing on a Minecraft server with 5 friends at the time this happened, and this new kid joined our game and our Skype call. He kept breaking our builds and demanding we give him stuff. We originally decided to ban him, but we wanted to have some fun, so we kept killing him. The Skype call was basically 6 guys laughing and a little kid screaming, calling us hackers. We were talking on Skype when Entitled Mom called. Let my son play on the server, you ungrateful D's! No, we all said at the same time. My husband is a lawyer and he will sue you and I will call the police for harassment. Shut up, lady. Don't you talk to me like that. My son deserves all your items more than all of you combined. F off, woman. You are not allowed to effing swear. Only adults are allowed to use that kind of language. One of us makes a Christian Minecraft server mean, and she gets really peed. How dare you insult my religion? You're going to hell. All right, where do you live? We start making up addresses like 69 Weed Street and 420 F off Avenue. That's it. I'm leaving. About time. She left and blocked us. Me and my friends and I still joke about that incident. Me and my friends and I! Wow, that's a lot of people still joking about that incident. I mean, it sounds like older kids or teenagers picking on a littler kid who sounds like he was being a jerk and maybe needed some manners of his own, and that mom, maybe instead of yelling at that kid, should be better monitoring what her child is doing online and should be better teaching him manners. And so I guess the real failure here was on the mom's part. But also, if I was a teenager, that story would make me chuckle. So sure, even if that did mean that I was going to hell. Please leave your story in the comments. I would love to make a video on them in the future. Also, don't forget to like and subscribe.